The Minisforum UM790 and 890 Pro were by far the most requested this year, and only one of those was left to review. Didn't expect it to happen, but here it is. Surprise! So, what does the UM790 Pro bring to the table, and how does it compare to the UM890 Pro? That's what I wanted to know as well. I'm glad we think alike. Just like the UM890 Pro before it, the Minisforum UM790 Pro has a nice metal case with a plastic top and bottom, which aren't nearly as solid, but should hold up fine unless you plan to punch your way inside. Included in the box is a compact power supply, VISA mount, HDMI, and manual. The UM790 Pro comes with AMD's Ryzen 7940HS, an 8-core 16-thread CPU with a Radeon 780M graphics. Officially, numbering-wise, this 7000 series flagship is 2 generations old now, but the 8000 series was a refresh that added little performance gains, and I'd say the UM790 is only a generation behind the pricey latest gen AI HX 370 CPUs, now available in mini PCs for a lot more money. Speaking of money, the UM790 Pro is $560 on Amazon for the 1TB SSD 32GB RAM configuration, while the bare bones that requires you to add your own RAM, storage, and OS is $400, and would be right up my alley. At the moment, the official website doesn't have any bare bones in stock or 32GB DDR5 option unless it's with Manjaro instead of Windows. Port-wise, the UM790 Pro does things a bit differently, placing both USB 4 on the front. Both of them support power and display on a USB-C monitor. However, doing it from the front isn't as good as doing it from the back, if you know what I mean. There's also an audio jack and CMOS reset. On the back, dual HDMI 2.1 up to 4K 144Hz, Realtek 2.5GB LAN, and 4 USB Type-A 10GB ports. Killer Wi-Fi 6E is used for wireless and Bluetooth. Time to open it up. My arch nemesis glued on rubber feet returns, and these suckers are glued on tightly. Once those are finally removed, 4 screws and pry open the lid. Inside are 2 Gen 4 M.2 slots and a couple of thermal pads to help transfer the heat off. The RAM is cooled passively, well, one of the sticks, and both are actively cooled by the fan. I received this unit with Windows pre-installed and Windows 11 Pro is included. No malware was detected with a scan. Since Manjaro works fine, I didn't expect Ubuntu would have any problems, but I tried it just to confirm and it all works fine. While there's limited space in the charts and older minis need to be purged to make room for new ones, I was politely asked if I could include the Ryzen Alloy 9 for a comparison, so I've thrown it into the mix. Okay, starting with single-core Cinebench. All 3 minis are so close to each other that there's no difference really. And the multi-core result, the UM790 Pro supports increasing the power limit in the BIOS, and it performs pretty close to the Ryzen Alloy 9. The UM890 successor is slightly ahead with both power modes. Geekbench results have the single-core result switched, but again, too close to matter. And the multi-core result is again very close. In video encoding, same, but the Alloy 9 was quite a bit further behind. In the longer AV1 encoding tests, the UM790 came out ahead of the successor. And again, in AV hardware encoding, where it offloads the work to the integrated graphics. All 3 minis have very similar graphics performance in DX11 and DX12 TimeSpy. Interestingly, the UM790 Pro is noticeably behind the UM890 in Steel Nomad, and even then, it's only a drop of 2.5%. Something different for this video with the game tests is showing how AMD's Radeon 780M scales up to 4K from 1080p low, and most of the esports games are fine. The one that takes the biggest hit in frame rate is Counter-Strike 2. Forza Ryzen 5 is decent at 4K low with no image upscaling. I had to add FSR 3 to Cyberpunk, otherwise the 4K result was a single digit FPS slideshow. Now, it's a double digit FPS slideshow. Cool. Unplayable either way. God of War Ragnarok, again with FSR balance mode, gets that console frame rate at 4K, which is pretty impressive. Here's GTA 5 maxed out. Not a great experience at 4K. Space Marine 2 is not great with FSR balance mode at 4K, it's not playable. The USB 4 port on the UM790 Pro allows an eGPU to be hooked up to it. This test was done with an RTX 3070 and a Ryzen Core X eGPU. Now for the emulators. 4K Breath of the Wild sure looks nice, but doesn't run too well. While Wipeout using the PS3 emulator looks great and plays decently, your mileage will vary. Unlike Minisforum's latest mini PC with the AI HX370, this one passes the latency mod test with Cinebench running in the background. It should be fine for audio production. 4K video editing works well, but not quite as snappy on the decode as the Intel chips. In the BIOS, you can change the power mode in advanced power configuration, and there's a couple other options here. AMD CBS NBIO common options allows you to set the amount of RAM to dedicate to the integrated graphics. 4GB is fine for this level of graphics performance. FCH common options has the AC power loss config if you need it. The included Kingston Gen 4 NVMe drive is not fast and even gets beaten by a couple of Gen 3 drives in a long storage benchmark. It is kept cool though. A top of 40 degrees for the drive is very low. Bluetooth range was really good, with the UM790 being one of the top performers. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case with wireless internet. At 12 meters or 39 feet using the 5G band, I had slow speeds and regular connection issues. So yep, this Mini failed the gaming test at this distance. Idle power draw of 11 watts is close to the UM890 Pro, and the maximum power draw was also similar. A new experimental test is to run Ryzen Tomb Raider at 720p low detail, locked to 60 FPS, and measure the power draw from the wall to compare different CPUs. And the Minisforum UM790 used 6 watts less than the GMK-Tech K8 Plus. Maximum CPU temp is unchanged whichever power mode is used. Fan noise is up over the UM890 Pro by quite a bit. And that makes more sense when you see the volume chart. The UM890 is a bigger mini PC with a chunkier cooler than the UM790. Alright, conclusion time. The Minisforum UM790 is a good performer with cooling everywhere that matters. The bare bones price of $400 is attractive for those wanting to add their own memory, storage, and OS. Fan noise under load is on the high side, but not too bad, especially in balance mode. Opening the Mini is annoying. Wireless range isn't great either. Overall, a pretty solid mini PC, with a common flaw being the wireless range. We've seen it in a lot of mini PCs this year. I did mention Minisforum has the newer HX370 mini PC featuring AMD's latest and greatest. If you're curious how that one holds up, check out the review right here. Cheers!